I was very impressed by how she channeled her emotions. I thought she did a great job of really staying focused on getting into the flow of things. And told her to just use all of her energy on defense and rebound the ball and let everything else come to her. And I just thought she was very mature about handling that. It is very emotional when you've sat out and you're coming back for the first time. You never know how someone's going to respond, and she had a lot of family here. It's obviously on national TV, so she could have gone either way, and she handled it very maturely.
For you, when you all are a team that like to shoot the three, and when it isn't going in, especially early on, are you a coach that you're very much telling players, hey, just keep shooting, eventually it'll fall, or do you change maybe the offensive strategy and try to attack the paint a little more?
Yeah, well, we wanted the ball to go in a little bit more than it did throughout the game, and we'll work on that. But we're never going to tell our shooters not to shoot. We want them to step up, be confident, take those shots. We believe in them. They've put the time in. We know they'll eventually fall. But throughout the game, we did want Brittany to get some more touches than what she was getting.
Is this a game where you go into the locker room and you say, hey, listen, we played offensively maybe as bad as we played all season, but we got the win, and that's important. That's just about embracing a different type. One game's going to go one way game may go the other, and it's just about embracing it and coming out with that result.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's really important as you learn how to be successful, in which this program is learning how to be successful again, is that you have to be able to win in different ways. And that's the biggest takeaway that I shared in the locker room. Shots weren't falling. We might have a Big 12 game like that. And then it gets into your individual mental toughness and collectively as a team. How are we going to handle that moment? How are we going to handle that game? Things aren't going great for us. They're not going easy for us either. And you have to be at your toughest during those moments. You have to be at your most mature, and you have to keep it in perspective about the bigger picture and what you're really fighting and playing for. And I'm really pleased with the growth and maturity of that piece, especially with our returners. I thought they handled that part of the game very, very well, and they could have not handled it so well, and I think previously they would not have handled it so well.
Marlene, how would you kind of assess where your team is at now, 7 games into the season?
Well, we're undefeated, so that's a great spot to be in. And, it's really nice to coach them and coach them hard after wins. It's the best time to be able to coach hard is to do it after wins. And I think with us and, adding Lexi is big. So just to continue to grow on both ends of the floor, we're big on staying committed to our processes on both ends of the floor. And we know we have to keep challenging them every single day and to not become complacent.
And with Lexi, again, what's that whole process been like from the coaching aspect of getting her acclimated in what you're trying to do and just what you're trying to build here?
Yeah, well, we've pretty much treated her as though she's been playing, with the exception of maybe right around Thanksgiving time when we were getting ready to go on the road. But minus that, we've had her in lineups, we've had her in groups. She's been getting a lot of reps. So I just told her, act like you're playing tomorrow. I think one of the young ladies said that, but just keep acting like you're playing tomorrow while you're sitting out. And she did a good job of that and put herself in a position to really be ready for today.
Coach, I think with 7 minutes left, you're up 3, and then you hit a couple threes down the stretch to kind of extend out that lead, outscoring by 5 down the stretch. What was the most impressive thing your team did to help kind of close out that game?
Our defense, by far. I thought we picked up our intensity. We got stops. We got some physical rebounds. And then decision-making in probably the final couple of minutes was huge for us. They got into a scramble where they were running around trying to double. We handled that very well. Cece had the biggest play probably of the night there under 2-minute mark where she ran the clock down and then drove and scored. That was a really big play for us.
How simple or maybe complex is it to stop turnovers on the offensive end?
Yeah, well, I think for us, again, it's a team that plays all man. They decided to play zone against us tonight, and just being able to quickly adjust to that in the game. And a lot of the turnovers, especially in the first half, were not forced. It was just not good decision-making on our end. So just continually putting ourselves in those types of situations in practice and make sure that we're getting confident and making the right reads during practice so that in a game it's natural.
And from day one, you guys have been preaching the kind of movement to March and building everything around that focus. How big is this 4 games in 8 days to kind of prepare you for that quick turnaround nature of an NCAA tournament?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's big for that, but even before that, it's big for Big 12 play. We play 3 games in 7 days twice in February, and we've been talking about that in our prep this last week for this whole week that's coming up. So I think the first step is, get your mind right and keep it right and understand that this is coming again very quickly here in February against high caliber competition in our conference. And some of those games are on the road. So we have to be able to utilize this opportunity right now to propel us and learn from it and grow from it and handle those situations when they come in February, because February will be the month of separation for the NCAA tournament.
And then the last one, at least for me, when you have a win where you guys don't play the best but you get the victory, how do you balance kind of being able to say, hey, this needs to be better? We're not going to accept, I guess being happy with getting the victory, but also being like, hey, this is not acceptable and we need to be better in a lot of areas.
Yeah, well, we're very happy that we got the victory, and we stay very positive about that. Yes, certainly there are areas that we need to improve. The bottom line is we didn't shoot the ball well, and we found a way to win. So we're extremely happy about that piece, and we have a quick turnaround. We have one-day prep next game, so we're moving right on. We're going to get in here. We finally are back in our gym. We were displaced a little bit with graduation. It'll be nice to get back in here on our rims, get shots up tomorrow, and be ready for the next game.
Coach, I don't want to go back to last year too much, but a lot of those games that the team last year lost came late in moments where you didn't see your team execute the way that you wanted to. Could today, in a strange way, maybe be like a defining moment for this team, because it shows the mark, not only do you remain undefeated, but it shows that when you got an opponent that's creeping up there late, your team is tough enough to be able to withstand that and ultimately get the win.
Absolutely. And growth and maturity, you hit the nail on the head there with that question, because it happened on the road at San Diego. It happened here at home today, where we had to handle those last few minutes of the game at a high level. And, in some ways last year, we would have turned the ball over or not handled those moments very well. So we continue to grow in those areas, and I thought we've had 2 games this year where we've handled that well enough to win the game, and we're going to continue to grow in those areas, certainly.
I felt amazing. I can't put it any simpler than that. It was just amazing to be out there with my teammates.
Well, for you, what was the best part about? You talked about your teammates, but just in general, what were the 15 minutes before game time like for you in terms of your emotions and maybe nerves?
They ran a little high. My emotions were high at the beginning. I just sat down by myself for a little bit and just calmed my nerves and just did deep breathing, and then I came out there and I felt like my nerves weren't getting the best of me, which was really good.
What has the process been like for you getting acclimated here and just all of that stuff, and then leading up to obviously today?
My coaches have definitely helped me get acclimated here, and then my teammates have helped me too. Everyone's just been really excited, and it's fueled for me too, because I feel like I was so excited for this game, and I feel like I was prepared, and it was finally my time to be on the court again.
Kristen, for you guys, when maybe the shots aren't falling from beyond the arc, how do you adjust the offensive philosophy at all, or is it just keep shooting until eventually shots will fall?
I mean, they eventually have to go in, but if they're gunning us hard, just try to get in the post. But if they're double teaming the post, just we have to count on making the shots and knocking them down.
Chrislyn, last year, you scored the ball really efficiently, and that was kind of your role on the team because you had to score, 20-plus points a game. But this year, you've kind of evolved a little bit more as a true point guard. But we kind of needed you to be able to put some points up today late. Was that what was that transition sort of like to you, maybe kind of reverting a little bit back to last season as opposed to who you've been to start off this year?
I just knew what I had to do to help my teammates and know what I can do individually, and coach told me just to go out there and be poised in that moment and do what I do. So I would say just being patient and making the right reads.
Alexis, for you, all around good game, 16-9. Was there a matchup that you saw out on the court that you thought you could exploit today?
Probably with the posts, I would say that we had our speed and our skill over them. So I just made sure I used my advantages to get us points and rebounds. And I will say I was struggling a little bit, so I had to make sure I find other ways to help my team, whether that was on defense or rebounding or assisting. However we got points, whether that was me or anyone else, that's really all I could do.
Coach talked real quick about rust. This is your first time having to go through the whole finals process and also worrying about basketball and then getting back into it. How was that for you, and kind of how do you think you've handled and dealt with that?
I think I handled it really well. I will say that finals went great for me. You know, I do put my academics first, so I'm glad I was able to do well in that, and then have that carry over in basketball. Because if you do well in one, you're going to do well in the other. So just right after finals, I just made sure I was focused on scouts and getting back into the groove with everything. So like she said, we're a little rusty for this game, but we're gonna pick it up because we have 4 more games coming up. So we just gotta get back together, get back to how we were. So.
This is for both Cece and Tuck. Can you just speak to, watching Lexi kind of have to grind, not only in the offseason, but Cece, for you to have her as a teammate last year and finally to be able to get her out on the court, just from your perspective as her teammate, what does that feel like today?
I definitely think she was ready for this. And last year she was just practicing like she played tomorrow. And Coach always said that in practice. She's just a hard worker, and you can tell that from the way she plays.
And I will say this about Lex. She does work hard in practice. She's always encouraging her teammates. I always look to Lex as a leader. When it comes to asking questions on defense or on offense or with plays, I look for her for help. And when I was watching her in warm-ups, I saw that she was very energetic. It felt like she never left. It felt like she was here. She was very engaged. She was talking, and I could tell that she was excited. So just to have her play and everything, I was just happy to have her out there, and I'm just proud that she's back. So
Thanks, Tuck.
you're welcome.
And then, Lexi, one more for you. Kind of a tough stretch here. What is 4 games in 7 days? I mean, what does the mentality need to be like for this team in this next week?
We want to win. Simply put, we want to win. We want to go undefeated, and we want to go undefeated into Big 12 play.